Today on Artist Arms, we're going to be talking about non-destructive entry, specifically within the context of residential security. So whether you live in a home or an apartment, these are all things that are important for you to know and understand to keep yourself safe. Many of the techniques that I'm about to cover for you are things that are used by the military, first responders, law enforcement, and in some cases, criminals. First, let's talk about front door security. So everyone has a lock on their front door. Unfortunately, most people have the same locks on their front doors. It's estimated that over 95% of residences in the United States employ either a Schlage or a quick-set deadbolt. And unfortunately, these are both very easy locks to bypass. Let's talk about some of the tools that are used for this. So first, you're gonna have your standard lock picking set. And some people that I've talked to have been under the false assumption that you have to be a locksmith or a first responder or police officer or something to be able to get your hands on professional grade locksmithing tools. And this is not true at all. Anyone can go online and get professional grade lockpicking sets and bypass tools whenever they want. And by anyone, I mean me. Schlage and quick-set deadbolts are very easy to pick for someone who is experienced with lockpicking. They can use a single pick like the one that I have here, or you could even use a rake. And oftentimes when these locks respond to raking the lock, it means that you are opening this deadbolt within a matter of seconds, not minutes. Next, let's talk about the Lishi tool. So this is almost like an all-in-one lockpicking set. So the way that it works is they are made for specific brands and specific pin numbers. So this Lishi tool that I have right here is made for Schlage, specifically 5-pin locks. So with it, you can insert this into the keyway, apply your rotational pressure, and then on the Lishi tool here, it shows you exactly where the pins are depth-wise within the lock, and then it gives you depth measurements as well. So in some cases, you might know the depths of the key that you're trying to emulate with the Lishi tool, and if that's the case, it can be very quick to bypass a door with a Lishi tool. So in some cases where someone might not be as experienced with lockpicking, a Lishi tool will help them to bypass common residential locks with much greater speed. Another tool that's commonly employed to bypass residential locks are bump keys. So bump keys are similar to Lishi tools in that they are designed for specific brands. So I have a Schlage bump key here, and you put a little rebounding band onto it, and the key is inserted almost all the way in, but not quite. And you apply a little bit of rotation onto the keyway, and then you'll hit it with a soft mallet like this, or quite frankly, any object that you have handy. And what happens with the bump key is during that impact, it will spring the pins up very momentarily out of the way. And since you already have that rotational pressure on there, it'll bring the lock right open. So you have picks, Lishi tools, and bump keys. These are 3 tool sets that can be employed by anyone to fairly easily bypass residential front doors. So what if you upgrade your security a bit on your front door and you get a smart lock? Does that make it better? Unfortunately, in most cases, your smart front door locks are going to be just as easy or easier to bypass than most of the common mechanical keyways. And the reason for this is because the smart locks still have a mechanical keyway built in as a failsafe, and oftentimes this part of the design is overlooked, which means that they are as vulnerable and sometimes more vulnerable to lockpicking than your common front door locks are. The most popular smart front door lock as of the filming of this episode is the Yale Assure 2. And unfortunately, this lock has a mechanical keyway as a failsafe that is very easy to bypass. In fact, with the proper Lishi tool, it only takes adjusting 1 pin to get the door open. So we've talked about the vulnerabilities of front doors. Now let's touch just a little bit on the vulnerability of garage doors. Enter the Flipper Zero. Now, I could do a whole episode on this, and I could do a whole channel on this, and in fact, many people do whole channels on the Flipper Zero, but we're just gonna touch on it briefly. So the Flipper Zero is a commercially available hacking tool. So it engages with NFC, RFID, sub-gigahertz, and infrared signals, as well as many other features. A device like the Flipper Zero can be used to record the signal of a garage door transmitter, save it, and be able to play it back. Now, your garage door is going to have slightly more sophisticated security than a front door lock. Most garage doors employ what is called a rolling code. And this means that the signal from the transmitter to the receiver of your garage door when you open it goes through a sequence of numbers. So it changes every time, and then it will eventually cycle back through the same series of numbers. So you could click to open your garage door once and it's going to be 319 megahertz, and the next time you click it, it'll be 390, and so on and so forth, until it comes back to that 319 again in the cycle. So this security measure helps to stop devices like the Flipper Zero from being able to easily open garage doors, because if I were to record the signal of the transmitter on a garage door and play it back right after, the garage door receiver is waiting for the next number in the sequence, and since what I've captured isn't that number, the garage door won't respond and won't open. However, I have found that on lower end garage door systems, even when the garage is non-responsive to the signal from the Flipper Zero to open the garage door, it will still jump forward to the next number in the sequence of the rolling code, despite not opening the door. So what this means is if someone has recorded the signal onto the Flipper, all they have to do is keep emulating it until it comes back around to that signal again within the sequence, and the garage door will open. Now mind you, that's only on lower end garage doors. There are many garage door systems that have much more sophisticated rolling codes that are more secure. But there are third-party firmwares that you can use on a device like the Flipper Zero that can emulate the rolling codes of certain commonly used garage door systems. So even here, there is vulnerability with your garage door for that signal to be captured and then played back so that the garage door is opened without any use of force. Some of you may have home security systems with cameras, and this is a great idea. Unfortunately, if it is Wi-Fi based, I have slightly bad news. Anything that is Wi-Fi based that is a security camera system can easily be disabled by someone who has a device such as the Flipper Zero. And in fact, it doesn't take a lot of expertise to do it. So while you would know something's up because all of your security cameras are off, you would be operating blind because your security cameras are off. So having a wired security camera system is actually far superior to having a Wi-Fi based security system. Unfortunately, the trend within the United States is going more and more Wi-Fi based. In fact, it's estimated that by 2030, over 85% of home security systems will be Wi-Fi based, which is somewhat problematic because, at least as of right now, Wi-Fi based security systems for residential homes are not very secure at all. So what is the takeaway from understanding all of these vulnerabilities within residential security? Well, there's a couple practical tips that I would say. Number one, you should have a physical door brace for your front door. And these are things that are easy to come by online. And the value in this is that if someone were to bypass the lock on your door, when they push to open that door, it's going to be physically braced against them to keep them from entering. I would also suggest that you replace all of the screws on your door frames because the standard ones that they come with are usually too short. You want to get 3-inch long wood screws and replace all of the screws in your door. This is going to make it a lot sturdier, a lot more secure if someone were trying to knock the door down. Most importantly though, you need to start thinking about your home security as if it's a clock, because that's truly what it is. A cheap lock can be bypassed quickly, while a more secure lock will take a longer amount of time. But both can be bypassed. So the better option buys you more time to respond to that immediate threat. And this is true of all home security measures. The good security measures are buying you more time to respond to an immediate threat, while cheap security measures or no security measures are eliminating the time that you have to respond to that threat. So this begs the most important question that a lot of you are probably asking. What can you do to stop the clock? In a real life or death situation with a home invasion, you don't want to have things that are just extending the clock. You actually want to have something that can stop the clock entirely. And what stops the clock entirely is having a gun in your home for self-defense. Because while a good lock can slow someone down, even the best of locks can be bypassed. But having a firearm that you are well trained with, that is in your home, readily available to you for home defense, is of great value when it comes to a serious situation like this. All right, guys, I hope I didn't scare you too much by exploring all the vulnerabilities in residential security, but I think it's important to know where the weak points are so that you can be aware and active in taking measures to make yourself and your family more safe. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for your support, and I will see you in the next one.